Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today it is with great pride that I am unboxing Yamaha's largest AV receiver, the RX-A8A. This 11.2 channel 150 watt home theatre amplifier is legendary already. It features some of the best digital processing available, some of the best amplification available, a massive oversized transformer to feed all of that amplification, and capacitors, everything perfectly thought out. This AV receiver is already a legend, surpassing all of its competition for build quality, reliability, processing, absolutely everything. So let's have a look. Firstly, being part of Yamaha's Aventage range, the packaging is a white box with some basic screen printing on one side, model and serial number on just one end. It features a basic Yamaha logo on a couple of sides, and then a beautiful photograph of the product itself. Like any of the larger products, it's actually held together with packing bands. These things are really heavy. This weighs 22 kilos. It's like it's a two-person lift. It's huge. So I'm not surprised that carrying it around requires the packing bands you see. On the top of the box is a myriad of compliant badges and information associated with it. To name a few: Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, DTS. Go down the list. This thing is a legend quite rightly because it covers off every audio and video format available, and Yamaha still support all of their home theatre amplifiers right back with software updates to keep them compliant with everything that it possibly can. It's wonderful to see. Opening it at this point is actually relatively straightforward. The classic packing tape approach, which just means a couple of nicks and you're in. Tilting it forward to have a look at the most basic of the packaging, we see a couple of things. Firstly, a traditional IEC power cord. This one doesn't have an earth, it's 2-pin. Yamaha's now legendary setup mic. Now, the Y-Power mic setup has become a benchmark in the AV industry as far as anything in its price point, to be able to deliver some of the best equalization of room and speaker in the industry. It's wonderful to see that they continue to set the benchmark in the price that they are playing. We see some basic a basic manual, printed information and wiring diagram. This is very simple. It's about putting the batteries in the right way in the remote. There's a yellow little thing, and that's the first thing you should have a look at. Right at the top it says, hey, come on, keep the firmware up to date. These products take a reasonable amount of time to ship, so it's not unusual for them to require a software update to release all of the feature set that they've employed. And it's wonderful to see that one of these things is just kind of, it's right there, you can't miss it. There's the Yamaha remote control inside a separate sort of bubble paper bag. The remote control has a lovely look and feel. It's got a lovely rubberized sort of top to it. Once the batteries are in, it sits well in the hand. Because of the feature set, this is an 11-channel amplifier, so you can, if you want to, either utilize it in a substantial home theatre or allocate some of the unused amplification to go and do zone 2, zone 3, or even a 4th zone. So the remote has a switch at the top, and please hang around for some close-up photographs where you'll see all manner of things. The remote control has a switch at the top for zone allocation. Changes the IR codes that are sent out to the unit, allowing you to be able to simply control any element of things that may be controlling music elsewhere in the home. The second thing you'll see on the remote is a series of scene buttons, and this is quite unique to Yamaha. every manually preset feature on the amplifier can be called up as a memory. They call it scenes, but it could be number one, which is just the radio, or something simple for family to use, or just watch television in Sky, or something along those lines. But because it's 8, it means you can have a really good play with it. Maybe there are times that you enjoy a thunderous bass and want to really tweak that subwoofer so that it starts to rattle a few things, but know that most of the time you can't get away with it. You'd set that as a scene and deliver prestigious bass and rumbling and the effects associated with it, and then tone it down a bit at the press of a button. Setting the scenes is also very, very easy, and again, that's part of the reason people buy Yamaha, is just how easy it is to get the most out of it. Beneath it is an input left and right, cycling through the utilised inputs, and then of course buttons associated with the tuner, input associated with net radio and other things along those lines. Most importantly though on the remote we have a cog, and that's one of the most important, I guess, from a setup perspective. Is that cog allows you to bring up the on-screen display and navigate any number of different elements of the amplifier. That's brilliant to see. The rest of it is pretty straightforward. Program up and down associates with the DSP, or digital sound processing, that you may choose, along with some of Yamaha's legendary and legacy surround processors. There are all of the more modern ones, including the AI, which detects what the soundtrack is doing and tries to manipulate and work to your advantage. There's a home button and other things associated with navigation, and play, stop, pause associated with the control of Yamaha products like CD players, DVD players and Blu-ray players. There is an FM and DAB aerial and a couple of AAA batteries for the remote. To one side is the Y-Power stand. So this is for the microphone that we've spoken about. This has a second plastic foot that enables you to do 3 orientations from one location and then also height. The 4 sort of setups or equalizations allow the microphone to listen to the effect the room is having and equalize every element of its performance so that it sounds perfect first time. Now the amplifier itself, of course, is just sort of sat in place with a couple of good solid pieces of polystyrene. Now lifting the amplifier out, it will be a challenge. I mean, this thing is heavy. But as we sort of navigate it out, okay, get rid of the box. The amplifier itself is protected with a very simple sort of polypaper bag, enabling you to sort of pull that tag away. Removing it at that point is just sort of lifting the amplifier front and back. And at this point we get an opportunity to see the product for the first time. One of the most striking things, and why I want to initially just rock it forward and let you know, the amplifier is extremely deep. When you have packed 11 channels of amplification, a massive power supply and all of the processing might that this amplifier has, it is not going to be small. They have covered this unit in a plastic cover and then have a steel chassis within to give an elegance to it, but also a rigidity. You see in the top center, and again, hang around for the photographs, the Aventage logo. This product is feature rich and beautifully supported with warranty and other service. Looking at the front of the amplifier, you see an emulation of some of the more traditional, well no, the new but now traditional elegance that is Yamaha. The square frontage is now associated with the Aventage range with a large centralized volume control. We see the Yamaha logo and a basically blank screen, so please hang around. I'll power this up and we'll get an understanding of what the on-screen display and other things does. We've got a simple power relay, a USB at the front for both playing music and powering a device should you require it. We've got the 3.5mm microphone input for the Y-Power mic, and a 6 1/4 headphone output. The headphones will also do a pseudo sort of home theatre effect should you want to. There's the Aventage logo, again the centralised large volume control, and the first 4 scene buttons are now touchscreen, so this is a touch sensitive front panel. We see the model emulation and then a basic input selector off to one side, which is a simple rotary encoder. Spinning it around and seeing the side, we see more than adequate ventilation. And then it's at the back that really the magic happens, and again, hang around, I'll take some close-ups. The first is that there are 2 Wi-Fi antennas. The reason behind this is that this will now support wireless rears, although if you're purchasing a product at this level, you're probably going to have traditional speakers with cabling. But the 2 antennas allow for 2.4 and 5 megahertz communication for Wi-Fi, enabling it to also transmit out to other devices, whether it be as an extension of the Musicast domain or to run wireless rears. The amplifier has a myriad of additional features as well, and again, being 11 channels, there's more than 11 outputs associated with it. The unit is quite heavy, so please, as I rock this forward. Right, over this side we've got the FM and DAB antenna. We've got a dedicated phono input and ground. There's a row of analog inputs, some associated with video and component video, as some of these legacy products like Wii consoles and gaming consoles and things like that can be added. There's 2 optical digital inputs, 2 coaxial digital inputs, and a 3rd optical off to one side. Coming across, again, one of the Wi-Fi antenna, and then we've got the HDMI outputs, which in this unit, it has 3. 2 are associated with the main theatre zone, and the 3rd over here is associated with multi-zoning, with the ability for it to matrix and control the switching for HDMI inputs off to another area should you require it. It means that you can utilise any number of different features for both picture and sound in a second zone. There are 7 HDMI inputs, and they are all 40 gigabits per second, enabling it to far exceed any of the known formats, and via a software update comply with any of the high frame rate 4K and 8K formats. Beneath the HDMI we've got audio 4 input, which is associated with balanced. We've got the outputs, which are easily labelled with a big white section associated with the pre-outs for both zones and should you add any large power amplification. They're all easy to understand and clearly labelled. The main balanced input is for perhaps an external DAC or processor of some kind, most likely for a high-end streamer. Then the outputs, and you'll count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 labelled outputs, enabling you to connect the speakers associated with home theatre of up to 11 channels and then switch off some and redirect them elsewhere for a second zone. Any number of different configurations can be had, and although it can be complicated, Yamaha has simplified it by ensuring that any of the additional extra speakers are extremely well labelled. There is in the bottom corner the serial number. Above that we have the IEC socket, and even that has gold plating to ensure the best electrical contact. Finally, we've got a network socket, and again, as we always recommend with any heavy lifting associated with streaming, you should always try and run a network cable if required. Lastly, the second Wi-Fi antenna. Spinning it around again, having a look at the side and the ventilation, and then hopefully this catches it, but again, the light catches I should say. Again, hang around for the photographs. The dual chassis shows the grid section that we see, and then a circular hole underneath associated with the construction of the chassis to keep everything under control from a flexibility perspective. The HDMI board at the rear has heat sinks on all of the main processor chips, which is unique. Remember, these things are running significant processing and get hot. So it's wonderful that Yamaha have already realised this and anticipated it, because they ensure that this product will last much longer than its competition. the Aventage logo, as I mentioned, and the logo associated with the Yamaha power transformer we see within. So, there we have it. Yamaha's biggest 11.2 channel home theatre amplifier, 150 watts, easily controlling 185. It's 21 kilos, and I mean the power supply itself is 6 or 7 kilos. This thing is built to control any load and deliver the very best single box home theatre performance. So there we have it. So proud to share Yamaha's brand new RX-A8A theatre amplifier, unboxed here at the listing post in Christchurch, New Zealand.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.